Freedom Hall as Louisville plays its final game at the historic arena with plenty at stake. Potentially a spot in the NCAA tournament on the line as the Cardinals take on #1 Syracuse, which is undefeated on the road this season and is looking to spoil the party. Louisville legends are on hand to see if the old building's got one more magic moment left. Can the Cards upend the nation's top-ranked team? We'll find out next. The Louisville Cardinals take the floor at Freedom Hall for the final time. A record crowd expected. They've sold out every game here during the Rick Pitino era, and they packed it again to see the nation's #1 team, Syracuse, atop the polls for the first time in the regular season in 20 years. ESPN College Basketball presented by 5 Hour Energy. Syracuse playing perhaps for the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, something Louisville earned last year. This year the Cardinals will be happy just to get in the big dance. Louisville at 10-7 in Big East play, losing 2 of the last 3. Syracuse 15-2 in one of those losses at home to Louisville. Hi, everybody, with Fran Fraschilla. I'm Dave Pasch. Holly Rowe will be alongside shortly. Fran, hard not to get caught up in the emotion, especially when on the Jumbotron before the game they're playing highlights from the 1980 and 86 national championship teams.
You're right, Dave. Not only great Louisville Cardinal memories, but we're going to leave behind a great slice of college basketball history today. 6 degrees of basketball separation. I can't wait to chronicle with you, but more importantly, Louisville Cardinals need this win.
Yeah, huge game for them to try to get into the NCAA tournament and for Syracuse seeking that #1 overall seed.
Well, you're right. Louisville's already knocked off Syracuse. That'll give them a little bit of confidence. You want to go into the Big East tournament on a roll. And right now, Rick Pitino told us he thought 11 wins would do it. 10 would be a little bit sketchy. So this is an important game.
They've got a very good strength of schedule. And the Cardinals 10-7 in Big East play. Edgar Sosa's had a really good year for them. He's featured in our Star Watch along with Syracuse's Andy Routens.
Andy Routens, I'm telling you, he's going to get serious consideration for Big East Player of the Year. Edgar Sosa, the senior from the Bronx, New York, very, very solid for Rick Pitino. He's grown up and matured.
And Fran, the same starting 5 for almost the entire year for Syracuse. Joining Routens, freshman Brandon Trish, Rick Jackson reigning Big East Player of the Week, along with Wes Johnson and Onuaku. It is senior day here in Louisville, so final home game for Sosa, Smith, and Delp. Jennings and Samuels, the other starters for Louisville. For more on the great history and tradition of Freedom Hall, we welcome in the 3rd member of our crew, Holly Rowe.
Guys, it is electric in this building right now, and for so many people in Louisville, their childhood memories are wrapped up here in Freedom Hall. It opened in 1956, and it's not just been basketball. Elvis Presley performed here. The Beach Boys gave their first concert. Final Fours have been played here, and World Championship Tour shows. But more important today, so many All-Americans and former greats for Louisville are here to close out this building for the Cardinals. I just saw Jerry Smith go over and motion to those guys as if to say, we will represent you here in our final appearance, but they'll have to do it against the toughest team in the country, Syracuse.
And Holly, going to be very interesting to see how Louisville manages the emotions here today, because they're a team throughout the year that has kind of struggled with that. Freedom Hall named in honor of war veterans by a high school student. Charlotte Owens was 17 years of age when she won the naming contest. She lost her father in battle. It's one of the reasons why she wanted to name it Freedom Hall. The first game didn't actually involve Louisville here. It was Western Kentucky and San Francisco back in December of 1956. And Louisville today playing its 823rd game here at Freedom Hall. Wes Unseld holds the arena record for most points in a game. 6 Final Fours have been played here. That's 3rd all-time. Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City, #1. Madison Square Garden, #2. And it's a beautiful day here in Louisville. They're still filing in. Record crowd expected for Louisville and #1 Syracuse. Louisville trying to get its 20th win. There have been only 3 Big East teams in the last 27 years to win 20 games and not make the NCAA tournament. Ironically, Syracuse was one of them back in 2007. Not going to happen this year. They're in. They might be the #1 overall seed. And they've got an undefeated road record. The last team to make it through the entire Big East campaign unbeaten was UConn. They went on to win the national title in 1999. Benny Crum, who led Louisville to a pair of national titles. Long-time head coach here. Still comes to just about every game. And a lot of those two teams at halftime of this afternoon's contest. Syracuse with only one win ever at Freedom Hall, and it was Jim Boeheim's first against a ranked team. Rick Pitino was the lone assistant for Jim Boeheim who made that trip.
That's part of that 6 degrees of basketball separation that we'll be talking about all game long.
Louisville will start with it. John Cal, Michael Stevens, Jeff Clark, our officials.
Well, Syracuse has not played a possession of man-to-man all season, but Louisville sees a steady diet of that zone every day in practice. Let's see how they move that ball.
Samuels in the high post finds Sosa. That's where Louisville did a lot of its damage in the first meeting, but Sosa misfiring. Here's Trish down court, swatted away by Jerry Smith. Couldn't save it. It'll stay Syracuse ball.
And remember, Rick Pitino told us the key to being successful against Syracuse is keeping them out of transition. And that time an opportunity for Trish to go all the way. But the senior from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, the outstanding play.
Rick Jackson among the league and nation's leaders in field goal percentage, short with his first attempt. Here's another corner three. This one by Dell. And Louisville 0 for 2.
Well, they're getting what they want because they want to work the ball through the mid-post, Dave, and back out to the three-point line. On the other hand, Syracuse defends that three-point line so well.
Louisville was 9 of 30 from three-point land in the first meeting. Syracuse allows the second most three-point attempts in the nation, in part because of that zone. As Jackson gets the rebound, Louisville now 0 for 3.
Very small thing, but Andy Routens did a great job of challenging that jump shot. This is a longer Syracuse zone than the one that Jim Boeheim put on the floor a year ago.
Here's Routens, a long three. Not there. Still looking for our first point. 90 seconds in. Routens has been outstanding his last 2 road games. From three-point land, but misfiring in his first shot. Samuels no, and Routens the rebound.
Although Louisville's come up empty, they've gotten the ball where they want to get it. The key is you can have a great attack, but you have to make shots against Syracuse.
Onuaku finds a cutting Trish. Had a foul before the shot on Jerry Smith. Jim Boeheim, number 2 among active coaches, behind Mike Krzyzewski in wins.
He was an assistant coach on that Final Four team in 1975 for Syracuse that met up with Louisville in the consolation game.
Roy Danforth was the head coach as Jackson drives, and he's 0 for 2. Syracuse shot a season low 41% in the loss to Louisville at the Dome. Here's Sosa on the drive. And Trish comes away with it.
Pitino said they'd like to run more now that they're at home. They tried to control the tempo up at the Carrier Dome.
Jackson got the rebound. He misses. And Smith corrals. 2.5 gone by. Nothing yet for either team. We wondered how Louisville will handle the emotions, and also Syracuse handling this crowd as well.
It's rare they play in front of this kind of crowd that is rooting against them. 20,000 today.
They played in front of 34,000, the most ever on campus just a little over a week ago against, or it was a week ago against Villanova. Smith hits a 3 for the first basket.
If you make basket, it allows you to set up your pressure, and it's a token press. Now that time, Dave, Syracuse is going to start their offense with 24 on the shot clock, so it melted some clock in the backcourt.
Louisville 1 for 6. Syracuse now 1 for 7 as Johnson gets the basket. And a great pass inside.
Rick Jackson, a very, very underrated passer. He's had games this year. Providence, he had 7 assists. Very cerebral for what I'd call an offensive lineman.
And Johnson 15th in the Big East in scoring. He's the only Syracuse player in the top 30 in the league in points per game. Very unselfish basketball team. Second 3 for Jerry Jerry Smith. He struggled from out there this year, but one of the best three-point shooters in the history of Louisville basketball.
All three of his shots have been contested, but he's gotten pretty good looks.
And Johnson fouled on the way up. He'll shoot two. Second team foul on the Cardinals.
Take a look now. This is a good challenge by Routens, but it doesn't upset the rhythm of Jerry Smith's jump shot. That's been a key all year. You mentioned the prolific shooting first 3 years. Rick Pitino felt that he's taking too many challenge shots. But sometimes there's a difference, Dave, between a challenge shot and a semi-challenge shot. That doesn't disrupt your rhythm.
They got Sosa for the foul, and Wes Johnson gets the first free throw. We talked with Rick Pitino before the game and asked him, do you say anything to your team? He said, you know, they know it's the last game here at Freedom Hall. I'm just focused and telling them, hey, we've beaten this team. They're the #1 team in the country. Let's do what we did last time and get ourselves into the big dance.
Oh, you're right. You've heard me say just start a one-game winning streak, and that's all you want to do today. Just focus on the team in orange and what you have to do in terms of execution to attack them on both ends of the floor.
Johnson has all 4 of Syracuse's points. Smith with all 6 for Louisville. Sosa with the extra pass. Swamp shy from the corner. And rebound by Onuaku.
That's a good job by Louisville getting back, building their defense. You want to keep Syracuse out of transition.
Here's Johnson with penetration. Beautiful move in the lane. And another Louisville foul, the third on the Cardinals. And they'll get Samuels for his first. Louisville by 2 early. Many Louisville legends on hand for the final game at Freedom Hall.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5 Hour Energy. Hours of energy now, no crash later. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
They will continue to have basketball games and other events here at Freedom Hall, but today, unless Louisville makes the NIT, is the final men's basketball game. There have been some great moments throughout the history of Freedom Hall. Wes Unseld with 45 points. That's the Freedom Hall record for most in a game back in 1967. Milt Wagner had some terrific games helping Louisville win a national title. That was in '83, beating Memphis State. Samaki Walker had Louisville's first triple-double back in '95. And then Edgar Sosa in 2009 hit the three-point shot, which has been deemed the shot heard around the Commonwealth of Kentucky. That three to beat the Wildcats. Never nervous Purvis as a freshman led Louisville to that '86 championship, beating Jay Billis's Duke Blue Devils. They were playing the highlights of that before the game as Wes Johnson misses the first free throw. And let's check in with Holly Rowe for more on Wes Johnson.
Well, Wes Johnson has been battling through an injury to his right shooting hand that he got against Connecticut. If you were to put your palm, your hand out in front of him, you see that L of your thumb and your index finger. That whole area was discolored and swollen. Even now, if you look at the knuckle where his thumb meets his palm, it's incredibly swollen. I talked to him before the game. He said it hurts, but he doesn't want to tape it. It's just something he's going to have to fight through. But Brad Pike and their great athletic training staff has been doing massage, ice, everything they could, electrical stimulation to get that swelling down and relieve him of some of that pain.
And as Mara misses a three, Sosa with another opportunity off the mark. Johnson in the first meeting frame was just 5 of 20 from the field in that loss at home to Louisville.
And in large part because they saw a heavy diet of zone defense. You'll see Louisville today opening and playing some man, but they'll play an awful lot of zone as well.
Onuaku inside, gets it to drop. He's shooting almost 70% from the field on the year.
Amazing to me, 65% for his career as well. I love this Syracuse team. Guys like Onuaku were not heavily recruited. This guy, Dave, he goes about 270. Look at the girth and look how he backs down Samardo Samuels. And Samardo's got to be careful today because of foul trouble.
Smith, who's already hit a couple, can't knock down that one. Louisville taking a lot of threes. 9 of their 11 attempts have been from behind the arc as Johnson misses a 2. Right around the hoop, and here comes Sosa in transition. And they're going to get Routens for a foul. That's the first on Syracuse. There's no question, since the injury to Wes Johnson, he has not been the same player shooting the basketball. We'll see if that has an impact on Syracuse in the NCAA tournament.
Well, exactly, and Jim Boeheim has had the luxury of resting him if he wanted, but we know how much Jim Boeheim likes to win. Injury can't really get any worse. He talked about maybe saving him in the Big East tournament. I don't think that's going to happen, and obviously he's playing today.
Chris Joseph out there now for Rick Jackson. You'll see probably just 7 players for Syracuse, and Jim Boeheim considers them all starters.
It's the most balanced team in college basketball, and it's got unbelievable chemistry.
Shot clock at 4. Mara from the corner with Routens challenging, missed the 3. 10 3-point attempts for Louisville already.
They are moving the ball very well versus the zone. The execution of what they want to do has been very good. They're just not making shots. So you can have a great game plan versus the zone, but it does come down to putting the ball in the basket.
Here's Routens. And dangerous pass. Play made by Smith. On the other end, throws it down.
He's in the top 10 in Louisville history in career steals, and that was a helium pass that he anticipated.
Wes Johnson right back for Syracuse. He's got 7 of the 9 points for the Orange. Syracuse has already won the Big East regular season championship and secured the #1 seed in next week's Big East tournament. Here's Sosa, way off the mark from 3. He's 0 for 4 from the field.
Good example right there. They put the ball to Swapshire right in the mid-post.
Routens short, and Swapshire lost it. Trish quickly to Johnson. And Trish called for the offensive foul. His first, second on Syracuse.
Well, Jerry Smith has been part of a team that's won over 100 games at Louisville, and a lot of it through the years has been off the defense. And you see the steal and then the finish at the other end.
He's got all of Louisville's points, and he averages just 8 on the year. He is 4th all-time at Louisville in threes made, 6th in career 3-point percentage. All that despite shooting under 30% this year from behind the arc.
Key in this offense now, keep your eye on Swapshire. There's another contested shot, Dave. That's something that has really been a big reason why Jerry Smith has not shot the ball well this year.
But they get another steal. Sosa drives the lane. Great dish! And the dunk by Jennings. And a foul.
Rick Pitino didn't think they could run when they went on the road to the Carrier Dome. They wanted to take the crowd out of the game. Completely different at home. They want to utilize this crowd, and plays like that will get it done.
So Louisville with a 1-point lead here at home. Somebody other than Jerry Smith finally getting on the board for the Cardinals as Jennings throws it down. Rick Pitino's Cardinals on top of the #1 team in the country by 1. And you might be surprised that Pitino's favorite Freedom Hall moment is not as the coach of Louisville.
We came in here as just happy. Since the inception of the Big East, Providence was in dead last place. Now we finally get an NCAA bid, and we upset the first 2 teams we play, and now we get a chance to go in and play a great Alabama team, and then an arch rival in Georgetown who beat us 25-30 the 2 prior times. And we had 2 great games where I think we shot about 67% in each game and beat Georgetown by 15 to go to the Final Four. So much was at stake in that game as well.
And Pitino now in his 9th year as the head coach here at Louisville.
It's amazing, you know, the basketball world is so small. He didn't even remember, as you see, Purvis Ellison, the outstanding player from the '86 Final Four, freshman. But he didn't even remember being here when Jim Boeheim, when he was a member of that Syracuse staff, Jim Boeheim getting his first win over a ranked team. He said, "Oh yeah, I was here. I think I was." That means he's getting old.
In fact, Bernie Fine said that he was out recruiting and there was a storm here in Louisville. He couldn't get a hold of anybody to find out if they won the game. Finally got a hold of a player in the hotel. Louisville leading by 1 with the basketball. 12 of their 16 attempts from the field have been threes, and many of those have been contested shots.
Rick Pitino, they like to shoot 7 or less contested shots during every game. Their ball movement versus the zone has been very, very good. The scheme is good. It's now a question of getting those open shots and knocking some down.
Here's Swapshire in the high post. Shot clock down to 6. Another contested one, but Delk hit it anyway with Johnson in his grill.
In the first game up at the Dome, Jared Swapshire was outstanding in that high post. He and Samuels really understand inside-out play.
Onuaku gets fouled from behind by Jennings, his first in the 4th on Louisville.
This is a great catch by Swapshire in the middle. Take a look. He looks opposite now. The pass is a little off, and Delk has to make the tough one. Another contested shot. But in terms of the scheme, Dave, you see what Syracuse is trying to do.
See the numbers for Delk, transfer from Mississippi State. So on senior day for him is Onuaku, one of the worst free throw shooters in the country. 44% this year, which is actually improved over previous seasons.
I remember being an assistant coach at Providence College when Stevie Thompson, who was an outstanding Syracuse Orangeman, played here. And we actually fouled him in the first half of games for that very reason. You saw the air ball by Onuaku. We would foul Stevie Thompson in the first half of games when they were in the bonus because it was like a turnover. Harder to do that with Onuaku because he's a post player and doesn't have the ball in his hands as often.
Here's Sosa, got an open look. And he is 0 for 5 from the field, but Knowles with the offensive rebound. Delk's 3 not there. Jardine almost tipped it in to the basket. And then Routen's on the other end has it for Syracuse.
Right now for Syracuse, Dave, just weather the storm of this crowd.
Nice move by Jardine, one of the most improved players in the Big East this year. After not playing because of an injury last year and struggling his first year at Syracuse.
It's kind of interesting. Orange only down 2, but Syracuse, while they haven't played great, they've weathered the storm of the emotion so far.
Knowles short with the 3. Jennings rebound. Stick back is there. Jardine, Onuaku, throw down.
That was a concern. Transition defense. They did such a wonderful job in Syracuse back on Valentine's Day.
Meanwhile, Jardine leads the country in assists by a bench player. Onuaku may have gotten a piece of that. Swapshire off the mark.
Well, that's a great seal. Maybe a little push off inside. But a terrific look by Jardine. Another opportunity in transition.
6 points for Onuaku. Syracuse has tied it at 15.
Take a look at this now. This is good vision by Jardine. He sees the seal inside. Onuaku works Jennings over the man. He seals him up the lane, and a good delivery by Jardine.
Tonight, North Carolina and Duke, one of the great rivalries in all of sports, renewed at Cameron Indoor Stadium. North Carolina's won 4 straight there. We'll see if they can make it 5 in a row tonight. Catch College Game Day, driven by State Farm at 8 Eastern to tip things off. Can Carolina win that one?
That's going to be really hard. The emotion of playing at home for Duke, losing those 4 straight. Tell you, the flip side, you got Carolina with all those McDonald's All-Americans. Here's a guy, Arinze Onuaku, lightly recruited, played football in high school at Episcopal in Northern Virginia. One of those 7 guys you talked about, Dave, 7 starters, none of them heavily recruited. I find that just absolutely fascinating.
Syracuse was picked 6th. Preseason Big East. They are #1 in the country now, playing the final men's basketball game for Louisville here at Freedom Hall. And Syracuse has tied it, and Routens comes up with a steal. He leads the Big East in that category. Jardine for the lead.
That play right there epitomizes Syracuse basketball all season long. The length of the zone, the steal by Routens, the delivery by Routens, and then the finish.
Syracuse playing for perhaps the #1 overall seed in the Big Dance. Louisville just trying to secure a bid. You would think a win today would do that. That would be 2 wins over Syracuse and 11 in the Big East. A loss would put them at 10-8, losing 3 of their last 4 going into the Big East tournament next week. Knowles hits a 3, the 4th triple for Louisville here in the half.
Very solid ball movement. That time Preston Knowles got a reasonably unobstructed look at the rim.
17 threes attempted already by Louisville. Are you okay with this, Fran, if you're Rick Pitino?
Well, they don't, other than Samardo Samuels, they don't have a lot of scoring inside against this Syracuse zone. Remember, they've got some bulk in there.
Jackson able to clean it up after a block and finish.
They shot 33 threes in the first game, and Samuels really didn't do his damage until the final 5 minutes of that game.
Yeah, had 8 points all late in that win at the Dome. Only the second loss for Syracuse. Its other was at home against Pitt. Knowles for another 3. Contact, no foul called. And Delk able to get to the loose ball. And he lost it out of bounds. Syracuse basketball. Michael Stevens was right there. We talked about Andy Routens being a potential candidate for Big East Player of the Year, and here's a big reason why.
Take a look at that. You know what? Even though he's in the zone, he's a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Man, you love that hustle. That's what it's about. Last game of the season.
All right, John Saunders, and here is the NCAA tournament picture concerning the Big East. In fact, our bracketologist, Joe Lenardi, has all 9 of those teams he just saw in as of now, including Louisville. Routens for 3. Not there. Joseph able to track down the loose ball.
Louisville in the zone now. They'll mix zone and man, and their zone's a little different than Syracuse's. They'll match up out of it, play man-to-man out of it.
Routens skip pass almost intercepted. There's Johnson. And good defense by Jennings, but Joseph got it. Stepped on the baseline, turned it over.
Change-up defense by Rick Pitino. He's got the fastball, the man-to-man, which isn't as fast as it usually is, and then he uses the zone quite a bit as the change-up.
A red out here at Freedom Hall. Everybody wearing red for the final men's basketball game at this venue that Louisville has called home since 1956. Already 18 three-point attempts. Their season high is 38 against Arkansas. They hit 15 in that game. Sosa on the drive. Shot clock at 10. Here's Knowles and Jennings. Nice play by Terrence Jennings to put it in.
Terrific job by Preston Knowles, gapping that ball, drawing 3 defenders, and dropping it off to the baseline.
Jardine with the alley-oop to Jackson. What a pass.
You know, Dave, we know they have 7 starters. They just turned the ball over, Louisville. But is there a more underrated starter that they have than Scoop Jardine?
Leads the nation in assists by a bench player, but then Louisville comes back with a mental error. We've seen that a lot from the Cardinals.
Take a look at this. Is that right on the money?
Perfect.
Do you remember during the summer when Jim Boeheim said, Brandon Trish is going to be my starting point guard?
Good block by Jennings. It'll stay Syracuse ball.
And Scoop Jardine, you know, as a third-year sophomore, that couldn't have sat well. But the simple fact is this team plays with no ego.
Well, you pointed out just how veteran they are with a pair of 5th-year seniors, a 4th-year junior in Wes Johnson, and a 3rd-year sophomore in Jardine.
And that's partly what's made the zone so good. It's not only longer than it was a year ago. There's a lot of experience in that defense.
Rick Jackson, one of the most improved players in college basketball, made a mistake there, threw it away. Tomorrow at noon Eastern on ESPN, a Big Ten battle with NCAA tournament implications. Illinois trying to secure a spot, already beat Wisconsin once, winning in Madison. They'll take on the Badgers in Champaign tomorrow.
I think if Illinois wins, they may actually see Wisconsin next week in the Big Ten tournament.
Delk missed 3. Louisville now 4 of 19. 19 out of 26 shots for Louisville have been 3-point tries. Syracuse allows about 25 a game, second most in the country. Onuaku there to clean it up and put it in with the left hand. 3-point Syracuse lead.
Jackson and Onuaku, they are offensive linemen in this scheme. These two guys down low are very big physical guys. They complement Syracuse's perimeter so well. See, Jennings is not a guy you want to throw it to in the high post, Dave. You'd rather have Swapshire moving through there.
So they got Swapshire on the wing. Syracuse, meanwhile, with 20 of its 23 points coming in the paint. And here is Jennings in the high post. Made a good pass there.
Yes, he did.
The Delk who finishes with the left hand.
He sure did. One-hand bounce pass. Swapshire and Samuels a little more comfortable handling the ball, but he made me eat my words. Good look.
Onuaku with a good look, and Routens buries a three.
Boy, that's great court recognition. You catch the ball, you look over your inside shoulder so you can see the 80% of the court from where you are when you have the ball inside.
First basket for Andy Routen to his second all-time in threes at Syracuse. Good hands there by Jackson. That zone so long, and Onuaku down court, but it was Jennings who made the play. Boy, Jennings getting a lot more time than Samuels and having a very good first half. Great pass by Sosa. Swapshire with it up.
We mentioned that Rick Pitino doesn't mind a little faster pace at home because of the home court, but can't give up the rim.
Onuaku having a field day in the low post. He's got 10 points on 5 of 5 shooting.
I mean, this is like in football, your secondary is breaking down right now. They're getting too deep in transition. No one's covering the rim for Louisville.
Knowles another good pass. Jackson again with the hands, and Jeff Clark initially ruled it Syracuse ball, but then said nope, it was off of Syracuse, so it'll be Louisville basketball. Syracuse, the #1 team in the country. Louisville, meanwhile, needing a win perhaps to get into the NCAA tournament, down 4 at home. It'll be a great final weekend, John, in the regular season. Throughout college basketball, including tomorrow in the Big Ten at 2 Eastern when Wisconsin takes on Illinois. Do the Illini need that to get in to the big dance?
I think they do. Yeah, I think they do, and they get a chance to play Wisconsin next week. And they've moved that game to 2 o'clock to really accommodate what's going to be a crazy atmosphere. The Orange Crush and company will be coming out in full force at 1 o'clock Central Time in Champaign.
Here does Louisville need a win to get into the NCAA tournament. Shot clock at 2. Sosa lost it.
Nobody back. Numbers.
Yep, 3-on-1 alley-oop. Joseph from Routens. And Syracuse leads by 6.
If there's one Achilles heel right now for Louisville, it's been they have really been poor in transition.
Samuels back on the floor for Louisville. He's played only 8 minutes so far in this game and does not have a point. Here's Sosa for 3. Got it. 5th 3 in 20 tries for Louisville here in the first half.
Now, ideally, Dave, when you attack this zone, you'd love to attack it from the paint out. And even a little dribble penetration there by Couric was able to contract the defense and open up the three-point line.
Rakeem Buckles was out there for about 30 seconds. Now back to the bench.
And he actually gave Rick Pitino good minutes up at Syracuse.
Jardine hits a 3. Boy, has he been good this year. 7 points, 4 assists so far in this game.
You know, Jay Billis made the point, and he said it before, but it fits with this team. Their go-to guy is the guy that's open. They have 7 guys averaging between 8 and 16. You can't key on any one player.
Here's Samuels looking for his first basket. Instead gets a fistful of Wesley Johnson, slapping it out of bounds.
As much as Samardo Samuels has improved, he still struggles with length and bulk inside. And these two guys have bulk. Look at Routens.
Great play just to get a hand on it, huh?
Just a deflection. Now look at it does. It melts the shot clock.
They're getting into their set with 10 on the time. And Sosa takes a bomb with about 8 on the shot clock. But Joseph touched it last, so it stays Louisville ball. And we've seen that from Sosa. Sometimes he makes those. Oftentimes he doesn't, but Rick Pitino says he's really grasped what I've been trying to teach him for 4 years.
Well, the first 3 years he kept both teams in the game. And this year he's been much more a cerebral player. He was a scoring point guard when he played at Rice High School in New York City for Mo Hicks.
Holly Rowe has more on Edgar Sosa.
Amazing as he is a senior today, but this is the first time ever his mom has been here to Freedom Hall to watch a basketball game in his 4 years. Maritza works in a bakery in Brooklyn, and she just didn't want to take a day off. She's such a dedicated worker, and Edgar says her work ethics made me who I am, but she's getting to see her son play for the first time here in Freedom Hall.
And she recognizes great hustle there as Carrick knocks it out of bounds. But Sosa really been an up-and-down career at Louisville. Had a terrific freshman year, numbers dip, playing time dip, sophomore and junior seasons, but he's had a terrific senior year, and he's got 5 assists already in this game as Johnson misses in the lane. Out of bounds off of Jackson.
Well, the thing you like about Edgar Sosa, you know, he's from the Dominican Republic, same place that produced Francisco Garcia, the great Louisville Cardinal, Felipe Lopez, is they play with great passion and energy, and sometimes he's got to channel that passion the right way, and he's done it more as a senior.
Here's Jerry Smith, who had the first 8 points of the game for Louisville.
See how hard it is to get the ball inside to Samuels. There's a good look.
Samuels tried to make the cross-court pass and route for the steal. A great look down court. Jardine makes it an 8-point Syracuse lead.
Every time Louisville gets beat in transition, Rick Pitino gets somebody else off the bench because he recognizes the breakdowns.
Syracuse has not lost a road game this year. The only unbeaten team in college basketball away from home. And the last Big East team to make it through undefeated was UConn in '99. They lost only 2 games that year, the Huskies did, and won the national title. Will that be Syracuse here in 2010? Shot clock at 7, Swapshire. Sosa with 5. Hit another 3. His second triple.
Well, that'll build a little bit of momentum going into halftime. But right now, Syracuse should probably get this last shot.
Timeout, Jim Boeheim. To talk about what to do here with the final possession, perhaps, of the half.
And several of you in the stands were impressed with you about playing his first game of Freedom Hall against Notre Dame back in 56.
Edgar Sosa got 5 assists and 6 points on senior day, including that 3. His second triple here in the first half. His mom seeing him play for the first time here at Freedom Hall. Proud of her son.
Now this is a situation, Dave, if you're Jim Boeheim, there's a 4-second differential. Oftentimes at the end of a shot clock, you want to give your team room for an offensive rebound. But if I have a 5-point lead right now, I tell my team, if we get a layup, we take it. But otherwise, I want to shoot this ball as close to 0 on the shot clock as possible so that Louisville doesn't get a chance to get a run out. I'd rather be up 5 than 3 or 2 at the half. Let's see how they milk this clock now.
Shot clock at 10. Jardine to Rout. 7 on the timer. Jackson with 5. Onuaku missing. Rebound Smith. 3 seconds left in the half. Here's Sosa with 1. Got it away. No good. And Syracuse, the #1 team in the country, will take a 5-point lead into the locker room in the final men's basketball game here at Freedom Hall. Rinze Onuaku, 10 points. His first miss was that last shot of the half as we check in with Holly.
Well, Coach, what do you think of all this 3-point shooting so far by your team?
Well, that's all Syracuse has given us. We throw it inside to Samato, and he's getting overpowered by their bigs. We got to dribble, penetrate a little bit more. But look, the way to beat Syracuse, we got to make these shots. They're all good shots with the exception of 1 or 2. We got to knock them down. Syracuse is not going to give you too much in the interior.
How do you fix your transition and low post defense?
Well, we got to see the basketball better. They're beating us on the break. They're beating us coming out of our pressure. We're probably going to take our pressure off a little bit and just play a little more flat.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Well, Holly, you hit on it there with a question. 34 shot attempts by Louisville. 24 of those have been 3, but they've made just 6.
Today, Freedom Hall takes its final bow as Louisville plays its last home game at this college basketball institution. It has served as the Cardinals' home court since it opened in 1956 and served the sport as a place where championships were won and heroes were born. host to 6 Final Fours and plenty of superstars.
Louisville has won 681 games in front of more than 12 million fans and collected 2 national titles in its time here. Hall of Fame coach Denny Crum came to Freedom Hall a man and left a legend. Freedom Hall will forever be remembered in the honor of the veterans it was named after, and the home of Louisville basketball.
And the 823rd game for Louisville's men's basketball team and finale here at Freedom Hall. As we welcome you back to ESPN College Basketball presented by 5 Hour Energy. Syracuse, the #1 shooting team in the country at 52%. That's what they shot in the first half. They lead by 5. Dave Pash, Fran Fraschilla, Holly Rowe here as well. And, you know, Fran, it's interesting. Syracuse had 24 two-point attempts. Louisville had 24 three-point attempts in that first half. You think we'll see the same thing here in the second half?
Well, Louisville has to make some threes because that's what Syracuse gives you. They shut down the inside, and the execution was not good, but the schemes were good for Louisville. Their ball movement was good. It's a matter of now making shots.
And Onuaku had a great first half, 5 out of 6 from the field, misses the first shot of the second half. Meanwhile, Preston Knoll starting for Jerry Smith for Louisville. Samardo Samuels stripped. What a play by Johnson.
Play. That started from the very beginning when Samuels got the ball, Dave.
Samuels did not score in that first half for Louisville. And offensive foul on Syracuse. Let's check in with Holly Rowe for more on why Jerry Smith isn't starting.
Well, guys, in that first half, Jerry Smith injured his right thumb on his shooting hand. They've taped it up on the bench. Fred Heine, the athletic trainer, has taped it and put ice on it. They're not sure if he'll be able to return in this ball game. Guys, this is critical because his emotion here on senior day was huge. He led the team in scoring with 8 points and rebounding with 4 in the first half.
Thank you, Holly, for that report. And those 8 points were the first 8 points of the game for Louisville. Meanwhile, foul on Jackson on the other end was his second personal. Samuels to the corner. Here's Sosa, his third 3 of the game. And Louisville back within a deuce.
Very patient job by Samardo Samuels. He'll have trouble scoring against that size, but he made a nice look to the weak side corner.
Routen's looking to answer off the mark. Knowles rebound. Here's Dell from the corner. Swapshire there, and a foul on Syracuse.
This is a big way to start if you're Louisville. Jerry Smith on the bench. Samuels not getting it going inside, and a good look to the weak side.
And on senior day, Edgar Sosa now with 9 points to lead Louisville. The foul was on Wes Johnson, his first. Second on Syracuse. The Orange playing perhaps for the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Louisville trying to secure a bid. The Cardinals win. They'll be 11-7 with 2 wins against Syracuse. They would definitely be in with a loss at 10-8. May still have some work to do at the Big East tournament next week.
This young man is really starting to improve. Jarrett Swapshire, Rick Pitino compares his development to Villanova's Dante Cunningham over 4 years. He's just got to put on about 15 more pounds of muscle.
Just tied the game at 85. Swapshire. Routen's into the lane, lost his footing, and Sosa able to throw it off of Onuaku.
It was a matchup zone. Routen's got in too deep, and it's senior day. So you got to make those hustle plays when you're the underdog.
Louisville with the first 5 points of the second half has tied the game. Edgar Sosa now with 9 points, 5 assists, and a ton of energy brought by the Cardinal senior guard.
I've never minded coaching a guy that had more fire than I did, and that's what Edgar Sosa brings to the table. Take a look at the hustle play and watch his reaction. That's what you love. His mom looking on. I mentioned at a Rice High School, which produced the likes of Russell Robinson, Kemba Walker, Felipe Lopez, and a guy named Dean Memminger a long time ago. Got to get Marquette.
This is her first time seeing him play here at Freedom Hall. Final game for Louisville's men's basketball team here at the historic arena. 54 years here. They'll move into a brand new downtown venue next year. It'll seat 22,000. They've sold out every game here in the Rick Pitino era, and a record crowd perhaps when it's all said and done. And they count the attendance today as Samuels cannot get a handle on it. He's really struggled. No points, 2 rebounds so far for Louisville. Look at the numbers for the 3 seniors who get playing time for Louisville. Smith banged up, as Holly told you.
They're showing zone and they're going man out of it, matching up.
And Jackson fouled as Knowles, who's out there for the injured Jerry Smith, went for the steal. That's his first on Louisville here in the half.
What's interesting about Preston Knowles, Dave, he hurt his right thumb back in the December against UNLV, and Rick Pitino told us it affects him more defensively than it does offensively. Doesn't like to reach in and poke those steals away because it really been a psychological barrier for him.
Swapshire picked up the foul on the inbound, but not a bad foul because Rick Jackson was going to get an easy basket, and Jackson's only a 51% free throw shooter. Fran, a lot of people think Syracuse is the favorite to win the national title, but Jackson a 51% foul shooter and Onuaku a 44% free throw shooter. Do you think that could cost them?
It could. It's going to particularly hurt them when they get to the when they get to the round of 8 and then the Final Four, where they're going to match up with similar type teams talent-wise. We saw that back in 08 when Memphis, John Calipari said free throw shooting will not be an Achilles heel for us. Turned out to be in the championship game.
1 of 2 for Jackson. Syracuse over the last handful of games shooting better than 75% at the line. Normally on the year, not a great free throw shooting team, but again, most of that is because of those 2 guys we mentioned, Onuaku and Jackson, struggling. And Routins is one of the best free throw shooters in the country. Foul before the shot, says John Cowell. 3rd team foul and 3rd personal on Jackson.
So many different ways to attack Syracuse's zone. Not all of them are going to be effective because you got to make shots. There's a lob play.
And Samuels with his first basket of the game, and it's an emphatic one to give Louisville the lead.
And then there you see the zone, Dave, and they'll try to match up out of it.
Jackson got it, and a foul on Samuels.
Take a look at this now. They run a little lob where they screen the middle of the zone, and that allows Samuels to get loose off the lob. But Syracuse comes right back, attacks the middle of that Louisville zone, and Jackson finishes.
2nd foul on Samardo Samuels, and the 3rd on Louisville. Jackson looking to convert the 3-point play. He's 1 out of 3 at the line, but Onuaku got the offensive rebound. And now Johnson. And finally cleared by Preston Knowles. Sosa.
It's a tough look. Yeah. Remember what we talked about. Up at Syracuse only scored 60 points because Rick Pitino controlled the tempo of the game. And that's what he's telling Edgar Sosa right now. If we're going to run, let's be sure we have numbers. But he mentioned to us before the game that running here at Freedom Hall he actually thought would help them. They've got to be judicious, Dave.
The turnover there by Sosa. Does have 6 assists. Routins with a quick shot, missing the 3. And Siva on the ground, able to save it. Here's Knowles ahead to Delk. And a rare mid-range jumper for Louisville. That one rims out.
See, the quick shot allows Syracuse to get out quickly on the other end.
Delk holding his right leg as he comes back down court as Johnson buries the baseline check.
Well, that play was set up because of a quick shot by Reggie Delk to miss, and it allowed Syracuse to get out quickly in transition.
So a timeout by Louisville with the #1 team in the country, Syracuse, leading Louisville by 3. The Orange have already won the Big East, and they have the #1 seed. And next week's Big East tournament and the top 4 teams, Syracuse, Villanova, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, all get 2 byes. West Virginia, big win against Villanova today on the road. Marquette, Louisville, Georgetown will not have to play on Tuesday. They've been guaranteed a bye. As you look at that list there that we just showed you, do you think it's up for grabs, or is Syracuse again the odds-on favorite to win the Big East tournament in New York?
Well, they're the best team in the league. They've proven that all year, but you know, we know what can happen. I think last year the four teams that had double byes, 2 of them lost. And sometimes the double bye is almost a two-edged sword, because you're going to play a team that comes into your game with you having played 1 or 2 games, and even though rest is good, getting used to the environs of Madison Square Garden doesn't hurt either when you've won a game going into that Syracuse game.
What about one of the bubble teams? Can a South Florida, or I don't even know if you'd call Marquette a bubble team, or Notre Dame, can they win the whole thing in New York?
I don't think a team that has to play 4 games could really get that done.
And UConn, some would say maybe they're a dark horse, but they may have to win 5 games.
That's exactly right.
Steve, a great pass, and Samuels with a second jam.
Dribble penetration opens up the baseline because it brings the center out to stop the ball.
Jackson taking it in on the defender, and another opportunity for a 3-point play as Swapshire picks up the foul. That's his second and the 4th already on Louisville.
Syracuse comes right back and answers, but if you're Rick Pitino, you like this little dribble drive play. Watch the center step up, and that frees Samuels on the baseline.
A plethora of Louisville legends here at Freedom Hall for the final men's basketball game by the Cardinals. Denny Crum led the team to 2 national titles. Darryl Griffith, the 1980 Wooden Award winner, and Dr. Duncan Stein is standing by with Holly Rowe.
Well, this man has scored more points than any other man for Louisville, but more importantly, when you were 11 years old, who did you watch play in this building, Darryl Griffith?
I came with a friend of mine named Mark Hill, and we came to the game to see Louisville Center play Rick Mountain in the finals. We didn't realize how important this arena was. We thought we were just going to a regular basketball game, and come to find out it was the finals of the NCAA tournament. We had 6 of them here.
How did that affect you as a young player and make you realize you wanted to play here and be great here?
Well, you know, coming up, you always got dreams and want to be a professional basketball player, and it inspired us.
Thank you very much.
Well, Derek Griffith, one of the great college basketball players of all time, leading Louisville to that championship in 1980, and then Purvis Ellison, big part of that 86 title team, as Samuels takes it in on Onuaku and gets fouled. That's the 14th foul already on the Orange first on Onuaku. This is the Freedom Hall all Final 4 team. Look at some of the great names that played here.
Of course, Louisville Cinder's final game in '69 that Darryl Griffin referenced, 37 points, 20 rebounds. Guy named Elgin Baylor played for Seattle in '58. He wasn't bad.
Here's Knowles for 3. And Swapshire, great hustle to save it. Carrick on the floor for Louisville as well. Samuels a little more assertive offensively here in the second half.
Oh, nice shot fake.
Here's Siva spotting up. Through the hands of Johnson, it'll stay Louisville ball.
Peyton Siva, young man, McDonald's All-American from Franklin High School in Seattle, same school that produced Aaron Brooks. Aaron Brooks wouldn't like that. That ball was that went right through his hands.
We've seen 2 totally unforced errors by Louisville in this game.
Siva gave Rick Pitino a great lift last Sunday at UConn. Solid play.
Syracuse with the ball, leading by 3. The Orange have already won the Big East, and they're seeking to improve their chances of being the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Louisville just trying to get in, assure itself of a bid. Good play by Siva after the miss by Jardine. Transition, Carrick all the way to the goal. Roughton's long 3, not there. And a Syracuse foul. 15th foul already on the Orange.
Well, the most famous player from Memorial High School in Evansville is a guy named Don Mattingly. But Carrick, I bet he jumps higher than Mattingly.
Bob Greasy, also an Evansville native. Wes Johnson picks up the foul, his second. Louisville looking to take the lead. 6 minutes gone by here in the second half.
Carrick not a great shooter, so right now you've got to really concentrate on Preston Knowles if you're Syracuse.
Samuels facing up on Jackson. Working hard, got it to go off glass. Louisville by 1. They trailed by 5 at the half. Great steal by Kurek. They'll take it in and put it in. Jerry Smith unable to play because of injury, and Kyle Kurek stepping up to help Louisville out to a 3-point lead.
Well, good hustle. Look at the poke away by Kurek. And take a look at that athleticism right to the rim. Andy Rautins lets him go. Kurek has been an energizer in these last couple minutes. You know, Rick Pitino, Dave, he and Ralph Willard call this team, they're a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get from game to game. It's different guys every night when Louisville plays well.
Here's their tournament resume. Their best win was one of the best wins for anybody in college basketball this year up at the Dome. One of just 2 teams pit the other to beat Syracuse. They knocked off Connecticut twice. They had a couple bad losses here at home in December, but they had some injuries during that time, Frank.
Yes, they did. 3 guards were out in the game that they lost to Charlotte. They also got upset by the Catamounts of Western Carolina. Hey, if UConn loses today, those 2 wins may not be top 50 wins.
Good point. Louisville fouled Knowles again on the strip, going for the steal. That's 2 on him and 5 on Louisville.
Last I checked, UConn was 48-49 on the RPI, so a loss at South Florida might actually hurt Louisville. There you see the zone. It's a matchup zone.
Here's Jardine, a contested shot, and Jardine still hit it. He's had a great game. 11 points now to lead Syracuse.
Maturity. When you look at Scoop Jardine, you think back to his freshman year. The word that comes to mind is maturity.
Missed all of last year with a leg injury, but he's been one of the best bench players in the country this year. He's also got 4 assists today. Swapshire hesitated, still hit it anyway, over on Owaku.
I mentioned, Dave, the scheme that Louisville has is very good, the way they move the ball through the post.
Johnson fouled. No basket. They say Kurek bumped him on the ground. That's the 16th foul. First on Kurek. You know, Rick Pitino said he's never been a part of a game of this magnitude. Final game at Freedom Hall, #1 team in the country. Sure, Louisville's played #1 teams before. Beat Pitt here last year, lost to UConn here last year. But this is different with all the legends on hand. Johnson missed once, but not twice. Syracuse back within 1.
I think it's a testament to Syracuse that Wesley Johnson could be hurt in February, and the team did not really miss a beat. A lot of it is his own lack of ego.
Seva says, why not? Another 3 for Peyton Seva.
Don't be surprised by the freshman from Seattle. Shoots over 40% from 3.
29 of Louisville's 46 shots have been from behind the arc. They've now hit 8. As Samuels comes up with a good defensive play on Johnson, but Louisville gives it right back. Jardine with a blow-by. Finds Owaku. Put it in.
Boy, did you see him muscle past Seva? That's the difference between a third-year sophomore and a skinny freshman.
Here's Kurek from outside. Louisville starting to heat up from 3-point land. He averages 3 points per game. He's barely played. In this one, he's got 7 points. And here come the Cardinals again, leading by 5. Samuels got position. Goaltending is called. Count the basket. 7-point lead for Louisville.
Well, Kyle Kurek has been one of the Energizer bunnies in here. Of course, on a day like today, you don't have to be energized if you love basketball. But why not? Everybody in this building knows what's on the line. They're stepping up.
And John, if Louisville were to lose here, it would become a bubble team, but a win would certainly get the Cardinals in. They've already beaten Syracuse once, and despite not having one of their seniors, Jerry Smith, since injuring his right hand, has not played. But boy, Siva, Kurek off the bench have stepped up big. Kurek's played just 8 minutes, and he's got 7 points.
Siva and Kurek combined for 18 last Sunday in that win in Stores against UConn.
Notice, too, this run has been made with Sosa on the bench and Siva on the floor after Sosa had that turnover trying to hit Delk in transition.
Siva was a very highly prized guy. He's a little guy, but he's got great basketball acumen.
Roughton for the floater, no. Joseph has it stripped, but it will stay Syracuse ball. As a 5-point lead for the Orange has turned into a 7-point deficit in just 9 minutes. Part of that is because Louisville's hitting its threes, but also because Louisville's starting to get into the paint now and get points, something Syracuse just absolutely dominated in the first half. As Joseph has a bloody nose, Brad Pike, the trainer, going to look at it.
Now, Rick Pitino told us that they would run more at home because of the crowd and the energy, and that's been part of this lift in the second half.
Roughton threw it away. He thought Johnson was going to be there. Instead, nobody was. Jerry McNamara was, but he's in a suit. He's not eligible to play anymore.
Yeah, would have been a good guy to throw it to about 3 or 4 years ago.
4 turnovers in the half by Syracuse. Louisville could get the lead to double figures on this possession. Here's Buckles. Siva off the bounce. And Johnson up high for the rebound.
Buckles, one of those freshmen who gave Rick Pitino good minutes up at the Dome, so he's not going to be intimidated. He's good in that mid-post area.
Jardine fouled by Siva. That's the 17th foul on Louisville. Coming up tonight, make sure to tune into ESPN. The next installment of one of the great rivalries in sports, North Carolina and Duke, our Saturday primetime game presented by DirecTV. It starts with College Game Day, driven by State Farm from Cameron Indoor at 8 Eastern. Cameron Indoor, of course, one of the great all-time venues of college basketball, as is Freedom Hall. And this is the final men's basketball game for Louisville. We'll still have some trade shows, horse shows. Kentucky will play a game. John Calipari's been quoted as saying he might want to play 3 games a year here.
Well, that's just John tweaking the Louisville fans. John told me a few weeks ago he called Louisville and said, hey, we'll open the new building with you, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Here's Knowles for 3. Jackson, and Onuaku gets the rebound.
Jackson did a great job of tipping it away from Jennings.
How about the extra passing by Syracuse? A foul on Jennings, but Jardine and Roughton's just beautiful teamwork. And free throws coming up for Syracuse. Jackson.
You know, actually, in the last 9:49 of this game it's going to be a nice little test for Syracuse. They have everything wrapped up, seemingly not much to play for. But if you know Jim Boeheim like we do, and you know these guys the way they played all year.
Now, free throw is going to be big, as that's the 18th foul in Louisville. How important do you think getting the #1 overall seed is, or is it not that big of a deal?
I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think being on that first line with the way the S curve is set up, #1 overall seed will play the 64th best team in the field. I think getting on the top line is important. Getting on the top 2 lines almost as important.
Do you think Syracuse is a 1 seed regardless of how they finish?
A lot. Okay. Absolutely. The body of work over the season, absolutely. This team has such unbelievable chemistry, Dave.
Duke playing maybe for a 1 seed tonight. As that shot was well short, but Samuel's there, and he's fouled. That's 16 fouls now in Syracuse. They get Wes Johnson for his 3rd. Jackson was in the area, and he's got 3 already.
You know, the good thing about Samardo Samuels, he came in with a great reputation from St. Benedict's High School in New Jersey. He's going to end up being a 3 or 4 year Louisville Cardinal, and that's the plus side of a guy that's not necessarily a dominating college player. He's a very good college player, but I don't think he's going to be leaving Rick Pitino's roster anytime soon. That's good.
One of many players that Pitino and other coaches here in Louisville obviously Denny Crum, have gotten from the state of New Jersey. Earl Clark, Taquan Dean, Milt Wagner, Billy Thompson, others.
How about that Camden connection, right?
Yep.
Wagner and Thompson.
Jardine fouled before the shot. That's the 10th team foul. Correction, 19 foul. So 1-1 here for Jardine. Second foul on Siva. Jardine is a pretty good free throw shooter, around 75%.
You think about the loss of guys like Paul Harris and Devendorf and Johnny Flynn. How much growth would we have seen from Jardine and Johnson and Routens had those guys stayed? That was the ultimate case of addition by subtraction.
Syracuse has missed 8 free throws. Louisville has only attempted 5.
Watch the mid post. They do a real good job of running that offense through the middle of the lane.
Here's Siva still out there for Sosa. Shot clock at 7. Siva gets into the lane. Good hands by Onuaku. It's picked up though by Buckles. Here's Knowles. Misses the 3 as the buzzer sounds and then punched out of play by Keurig. And that will bring Sosa off the bench.
Well, when you talk about Syracuse, Dave, all year, chemistry, addition by subtraction, the loss of Devendorf and Harris and Flynn, it's a hungry team. None of these guys were recruited, and they really do have 7 starters when you look at their numbers.
Great block by Buckles on Johnson. Here's Knowles. Buckles in the lane. Keurig an open 3. Keurig with 10. The lead is 9 for Louisville on #1 Syracuse. Jardine with a 3 on the other end for the Orange.
Terrific look. That's a number of times today that Onuaku has caught the ball and looked to the weak side over his inside shoulder.
Keurig again. Hit it again. The sophomore averages 3 points per game. He just tied his career high with 13, and he's done it in less than 13 minutes.
You sure that's not Jeff Hall out there?
From the '86 championship team, who's here today, by the way. Johnson fouled by Knowles, and so Johnson, a very good foul shooter, will go to the line when we come back.
Well, Kyle Keurig. Moments in college basketball are made on plays like this. Kyle Keurig from Evansville, Indiana. Louisville in a desperation situation. Oh, you gotta love it.
You would think if Louisville wins, it will punch a ticket to the big dance. This is an all-day affair. Autographs, Purvis Ellison, you see Darrell Griffith, Denny Crum, and many of the Louisville legends signing basketballs and pictures prior to today's game. And let's check in now with Holly Rowe.
Well, the fans really came out here. They wanted to be a part of this history, and they have set a new Freedom Hall attendance record today. 20,135 to watch the final Louisville game. It is important to note that this building will continue to function. Security yesterday had to lock it down for a period because people were coming in taking stuff. I think they thought the building was going to be demolished and they wanted to get a piece of history, but they will continue to host events, shows, even some basketball games, but the Louisville Cardinal will no longer be the tenant.
All right, Holly. Meanwhile, Johnson hits both free throws. Syracuse within 7.
A little full court pressure by the Cuse.
And Sosa calls timeout as the trap by Johnson and Trish King.
It's kind of interesting. You know what? Coaching against Jim Boeheim through the years, that time they showed the press they have not played a possession of man-to-man all season, Dave. Don't be surprised if they play a little man-to-man.
Well, there have been some great moments, obviously, in the 54 years that Louisville's played here at Freedom Hall. Maybe adding another one. Kyle Keurig's played less than 13 minutes, and he is perfect from the field. 5 of 5, 3 for 3 from behind the arc.
Rick Pitino all year long has looked for different guys to step up, really never getting a consistent effort from any of those bench players, but today Kyle Keurig stepping up big.
He is 7 for 8 from three-point land in his last 3 games. You talked about he came up big in the win at Connecticut. Earned a start against Marquette at 6 points in 21 minutes. Been huge in this game.
There's that full court pressure.
And Samuels left to handle it, and he turns it over. Jardine with a steal. Contact, no whistle. Eventually Trish couldn't put it in. Jackson trying to get the handle. Hot potato. Louisville gets it, and Samuels is fouled. And Wes Johnson picked up his fourth.
That would be the definition of a scrum. Take a look at this hustle. One of those shots goes all the way in and back out. Look at that. But just the effort. You say Syracuse not playing for much? I don't know.
Four fouls for Johnson. Looks like Jim Boeheim is going to keep him on the floor here with Syracuse down 7. That's the 17th foul, a 1-and-1 for Samuels. Earlier this year against Notre Dame, he went 16 of 19 at the free throw line.
En route to a career high 36. Double overtime. It's interesting, you know, you watched a lot of Syracuse basketball, Dave, as I have. Every now and then, Jim Boeheim will switch out of the zone to a little pressure or man-to-man. And it's like that change-up pitch in baseball. Well, let's see if they do that.
1 out of 2 for Samuels. Syracuse ball, the #1 team in the country, down 8. They're #1 in the regular season for the first time since 1990. Jackson with a miss. Trish can't put it back in, but he'll go to the line.
I really like this guy. Just a freshman, Brandon Trish, who suffered a knee injury in high school. Wasn't really heavily recruited. He was one of those guys in the Northeast that was on people's radars. A lot of people assumed he would go to Syracuse, and he did.
Syracuse with 4 players in double figures, looking to finish the season 9-0 on the road. Louisville has put up 35 threes, but they've done a better job finding Samuels in the lane in front of a Freedom Hall record crowd in the final game for Louisville here at Freedom Hall. They've got a 7-point lead on the #1 team. Jardine knocked it off of Sosa out of bounds at Syracuse ball.
Well, Sosa gave the ball a headache right there. He pounded it too much. He went coast to coast and back out, but never really under control.
Routen's just 3 points, by the way, in this game. 1 out of 8 from the field. Wes Johnson, who got off to a great start, going to look quiet since then, but now has 15 points as Syracuse is back within 5.
Well, they've rattled Louisville temporarily with that press.
Keurig again. Got it! Kyle Keurig, a career-high 16 points. He averages 3 a game. And probably wouldn't play if Jerry Smith were healthy.
Well, that's what we've talked about. Rick Pitino all year long will go to his bench, play somebody one game, then not the next. We haven't seen Mike Mara today, who's the hero up at Syracuse.
Yeah, he hit 4 threes in that game. Here's Johnson for the answer, no. Keurig with the rebound.
Now, if you watch Louisville practice during the year, Kyle Keurig is a really good athlete, Dave, but consistent outside shooting has been missing until recently.
Knowles the lob, and Sosa could not handle the pass from Samuels. Louisville turnover, number 13.
Rick Pitino unhappy with the empty possession. You have the lead. What you want to do right now is move the ball, get good looks.
Onuaku back on the floor for Syracuse. Joseph to the bench. #1 team in the country's only losses this year were at home to Pittsburgh and Louisville. The last team to go undefeated on the road in the Big East was UConn. In '99, they won the national title that year. Here's Routens. As mentioned, just 1 field goal, so he gives it up, and Onuaku to the basket. Cuts the lead to 6.
That was great 2-man basketball by the 2 fifth-year seniors.
Knowles done a good job breaking the Syracuse pressure. Struggling right now, though. Got it over to Samuels.
I would say the press offense for Louisville right now is called an adventure.
Here's Keurig. He'll let it fly. Way off the mark that time. That's Keurig missing That's his first one of the game. Onuaku finds Jackson with a high-low. Blew the layup, though. Swapshire clears.
Dave, he had a big mismatch inside on Turek and couldn't finish it, Jackson.
Louisville playing perhaps for its NCAA tournament life. Right now 10-7 in league play. They've lost 2 out of 3. Turek on the drive. Shot clock at 9. Here's Sosa. Swapshire with an easy putback, wasn't blocked out. And a timeout called by Syracuse.
Watch the soft miss right here that allows Swapshire to get up and just cradle that ball in. Sosa with a good look. It was deep, but a nice soft touch. And a nice job by the sophomore from St. Louis.
Tomorrow at 2 Eastern on ESPN, catch a big one in the Big Ten for Illinois. The Illini already defeated Wisconsin earlier this year in Madison. Will host the Badgers tomorrow at 2 Eastern. A lot of people talking about Ohio State maybe, if mentioned in the Big Ten, as a team that would get that 4th #1 seed. You have to think Kansas, Kentucky, Syracuse are lost. Right?
Well, yep, and you remember Ohio State has 7 losses, but 3 of them without Evan Turner. They look like a 2 seed to me right now, but not if they blow through the Big Ten tournament, which will start in Indianapolis this coming week.
Louisville with 2 wins in the Rick Pitino era here at home against #1 teams, looking for #3. Jardine on the drive, no. Syracuse missing layups here in the second half. Routen's able to hustle. Way off, though. He's really struggled from the field, just 1 out of 9.
He found him.
Turek on the other end, throws it down. The lead is 10. A game-high 18 points for Kyle Turek. Onuaku missed another layup.
You get the feeling that Purvis Ellison is back there contesting shots even though he's in the second row.
I'll bet Purvis Ellison never even heard of Kyle Turek. But he has been the story of the second half. 7 of 8 from the field. 4 of 5 from 3. 18 points. Here's Sosa for 3. Spins out. Long rebound to Samuels.
They should use some clock here.
Swapshire with a face-up Jay. It's good.
Never mind.
They're getting the bounces here at Freedom Hall, their final game here. Jardine, no. Knowles rebound. Numbers. Alley-oop. Turek, you got to be kidding me. One of the great individual second-half performances in Freedom Hall history by a guy who doesn't play a lot.
I'm going out with him tonight.
Kyle Turek with 20 points, all in the second half.
Rick Pitino said he thought he made a recruiting mistake when he signed Kyle Turek a couple years ago from Evansville Memorial High School. He's athletic, Dave, but he hadn't really shown this kind of stroke much of the year. You mentioned he's gotten hot lately, but take a look at the athletic ability. Look at that guy.
With all the legends on hand, Turek adding to the great legacy of this building with just a tremendous half. All 20 of his points coming since intermission. He averages 3 points per game. Sophomore from Evansville, Indiana, as Louisville is shooting 61% as a team here in the half to just 32% for Syracuse, which shot 52%. They lead the nation in that category in the first half.
You know, it's ironic that Louisville controlled the tempo. They played a slow game up in Syracuse, and the Orange only ended up with 60 points. Rick Pitino didn't want to run in that game because of the crowd. But you can see in the second half how the crowd has energized this Louisville fast break.
Is Syracuse done? 2.5 minutes left, and the #1 team in the country down 14. First time they've been #1 during the regular year in 20 seasons. Swapshire slapping it out of play.
Keep an eye on this guy the next 2 seasons. Swapshire is going to be a good one when he fills out, but this guy is the hero today, Kyle Curick.
Today, Freedom Hall takes its final bow as Louisville plays its last home game at this college basketball institution. It has served as the Cardinals' home court since it opened in 1956 and served the sport as a place where championships were won and heroes were born. Host to 6 Final Fours and plenty of superstars.
Louisville has won 681 games in front of more than 12 million fans and collected 2 national titles in its time here. Hall of Fame coach Denny Crum came to Freedom Hall a man and left a legend. Freedom Hall will forever be remembered in the honor of the veterans it was named after, and the home of Louisville basketball.
And you could have asked Denny Crum, Rick Pitino, and the other 20,000 here today coming into the building, hey, who do you think will be the Louisville hero? None of them, not one, would have said Kyle Curick. But in 17 minutes, he's got a career-high 20 points, and he has helped Louisville open up a 14-point lead on the #1 team in the country.
That's the great thing about tradition. When you go to a place that loves its basketball, is you get to create your own.
Joseph 3 short, rebound Samuels.
Now if you're Louisville, milk the clock. Use the clock as your friend. Syracuse will trap out of the zone. But we're in for a great 2 minutes, Dave.
They beat Pitt here last year when the Panthers were #1. Syracuse has not lost a road game all year. They're the only undefeated team on the road in the country. And perhaps not for long. 8 seconds to shoot. Sosa, Swapshire, lost it out of bounds.
That was actually, if you're coaching it, you're Rick Pitino, a good possession, because they used about 30 seconds on the shot clock, and they still lead by 14.
A win would give Louisville 20 and 11 in Big East play, and 2 wins against Syracuse. Johnson rising and hitting a much-needed 3 to get Syracuse within 11.
Now here comes that pressure now that Syracuse has brought out of its back pocket. Haven't needed it much this year.
Samuels able to break it to Sosa. And good job to get it out to Samuels to take some more time off the clock.
Good decision. Very good.
Syracuse, you don't want to foul, obviously, with a shot clock at 10. If you're going to, you should have done it earlier. Here's Curick for 3. Rebound by Samuels, couldn't put it back. Swapshire, though, gets it. More time coming off that clock. Under a minute to go in the final Louisville game at Freedom Hall. Alley-oop, of course! Jardine on the other end. Syracuse out of timeouts. They'll foul Sosa in the backcourt. Darrell Griffiths here. Purvis Ellison is here. Kyle Curick is here. 22 points for a guy that averages 3 per game. Here's the ovation as Curick leads for the game. All in the second half. 22 points, a career high. Played 3 minutes, did not score in the first as Samuels is fouled. And that'll put Louisville at the line. Tomorrow, tune in to ABC. for an NBA Sunday Showcase, a rematch of the NBA Finals. Lakers and Magic, 2:30 Eastern. It starts with GNC Sierra. NBA Countdown at 2.
A guy that's enjoying this right now, but he's in El Paso, Texas, getting ready as an assistant coach for UTEP to enjoy what might be a Conference USA championship, as a guy that created his own magic here, Milt Wagner. I know he's enjoying Kyle Kurick's performance today.
Wagner, a big part of that 1986 championship team that was honored at halftime. The 1980 national title team was honored at halftime. The McRae brothers, Scooter and Rodney, both here. We mentioned Gerald Griffith, Purvis Ellison, Denny Crum, of course. Samuel's missing. And Jackson with the rebound. But number one is going to go down. Syracuse ranked number one in the regular season for the first time in 2 decades. And they're going to lose in Louisville. It'll be their first road loss of the year. They will be the number 1 seed, though, at the Big East tournament next week.
Remember this, Louisville can breathe a sigh of relief, in my opinion, because I think this just about does it.
Louisville's going to be going to the big dance thanks to a second win over Syracuse in the final game for Louisville here at Freedom Hall. They win by 10. Legendary status, Kyle Kurick. 22 second-half points as Louisville knocks off number 1 Syracuse 78-68.
Rick Pitino said at half they had to make some threes, and Kyle Kurick just about did it all himself.
Kyle standing by with Holly Rowe.
Well, Kyle, what went through your mind when Jerry Smith, your senior, got injured and you knew you were going to have to come into this game and have a bigger role?
We just had to keep our head. We had to play as a team like we always planned on doing. And his injuries just gave other guys a chance to step up. Preston came in and gave us great minutes, and we played well as a team.
You started off with a dunk, a steal with 2, and then a 3. How did you have so much momentum personally?
The last game here is a big game. It was something we needed as a team. And Coach put me in to do something, and I don't know, the team just came through.
What does it mean for you to go out like this in a special moment for the last time in this building?
It's a great feeling. Not a better moment to finish the last game of Freedom Hall and win a big game like this.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Because of Kurick, since late in the first half, Louisville, Holly, outscored Syracuse 51-33. He almost outscored Syracuse by himself in the second half.
Well, Louisville cranked up that fast break because of Sosa and Kurick. Edgar Sosa, the senior, is going to go out a happy man.
Holly Rowe is standing by with Coach Pitino now.
Coach Pitino, what were you thinking when you saw what Kyle Kurick was doing out there?
When who? I'm sorry?
When you saw what Kyle was doing out there, what were you thinking?
Well, I told him at halftime, look, we're a team that shoots it. If you're afraid to shoot, I'm not going to play. You guys keep on shooting because you're taking good shots. We got out of the press, and that really helped us because Syracuse was doing a great job against it.
I know this is...
Kyle Kurick was unbelievable. You know, you always look for that special night. He'll remember it the last night in Freedom Hall for the rest of his life.
This is such a big moment historically, but more important for your team. How does this set you up for the rest of the season?
Well, we're in the tournament now. Not even Joe's bracket busting can bust us out of it now with 11 Big East wins. So now we got to get better, concentrate on the Big East, and improve. But this has been a wonderful night. Syracuse is a great team. They have a great chance of winning a national championship.
And how do you describe this final moment here in Freedom Hall?
You know, I've been so lucky in my life. I got a chance to coach the Knicks, the Celtics, Providence, Kentucky here. And to me, this is one of the most special nights. I've never felt pressure coaching in 2 championship games. Tonight, I felt a lot of pressure.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And one of those championship games was against Syracuse when Rick was at Kentucky. Today, he beats Boeheim again with Syracuse as the number 1 team in the country.
And I think, Dave, that Rick Pitino felt the pressure because all of the legends and all the history that was in the building.
Kyle Kurick literally shoots the lights out here at Freedom Hall as the Cardinals beat the number 1 team in the land, Syracuse, 78-68. Stay tuned for Texas and Baylor coming up next. For Fran Fraschilla, Holly Rowe, and our entire crew, I'm Dave Papp. So long from Freedom Hall, where Louisville turns the lights out on Freedom Hall, beating the #1 team in the land, 78-68. Now back to John Saunders.